Welcome to Rhetorical and Writing Students, a student-made podcast from the University of Texas at El Paso. I'm your host, Leo Mercado, and today we're talking about something that affects more students than most people realize: food insecurity. According to a 2023 survey, about 61% of UTEP students experience some level of food insecurity. That means more than half of our student population has struggled to access consistent, healthy meals. To learn more about how this issue impacts our campus and what's being done to fight it, I sat down with Dominic Fierro, student president of Minors Against Hunger, an organization dedicated to helping students in need.
Hi everyone, my name is Dominique and I'm going to go ahead and be answering some questions for the UTEP food insecurity.
Dominic, thank you so much for being here today. Let's start off easy. What is your go-to snack or meal on a busy school day?
So what is my favorite snack or meal to go to on a busy day? I think it would be Nature Valley granola bars. I think they're really healthy for you. They're really affordable and I usually just buy those in like bulk at Costco or Sam's.
That sounds like a perfect snack for a student with a busy schedule. So for listeners who may not know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your major, your year at UTEP, and what you use to leadership and service work?
A little bit about myself is that I am a biological science major with a concentration in biomed, and I do have a minor in art and Spanish. What drew me to leadership and service work was, I think, the Terry Scholarship. I am a Terry Scholarship 2023 recipient, and the Terry Scholarship fundamentals revolve around leadership. So when I came to UTEP, I really tried to excel in leadership by being a part of organizations, being very involved in school, and being very involved with school projects as well.
And how did you first get involved with Minors Against Hunger?
I first got involved with Minors Against Hunger during high school when I started going to their events on Saturday mornings because of a friend.
That's awesome. So as a student president, what does your typical week look like? What kind of things are you doing behind the scenes?
What makes my role as a student president look like on a typical week? So, as student president of Minors Against Hunger, I'm always in communication with my officer team, but we usually have officer meetings on Wednesdays, the weeks that we don't have meetings. And the weeks that I have meetings, I have to make sure that everything is ready for the meeting, that we are in constant communication with our advisor, making sure that everybody's on the same page. And it also looks like doing other errands or sometimes having to run last minute things for events and socials. I think it was when I started being a resident assistant at Minor Canyon as a sophomore in college. I started seeing just how many students do not know how to cook or don't know how to buy groceries for themselves. They're not really familiar with like meal prepping, and so that causes a lot of food insecurity on campus, and it also causes a lot of malnutrition among our students.
Dominic's story really highlights how passion meets purpose. It also echoes what I heard from students in my own survey. Many say they want to help but don't always know how to. When you hear food insecurity, what does that mean in a college context?
For me, food insecurity in a college setting means not knowing how to cook or not knowing how to do groceries by yourself. I think that we transition from high school into college without knowing how to take care of ourselves as adults, and it can be a little scary and intimidating to make that transition all by yourself, just how some students do.
That definition lines up with what students responded in a survey I conducted recently, where nearly 43% of students said they are often worried about having enough food, and another 24% said that it happens sometimes. So, why do you think UTEP has such a high rate of food insecurity compared to other universities?
I think that the number is so high compared to other universities because UTEP is in El Paso and El Paso is an underserved community. So with that obviously comes low income, low resources to students. as opposed to UT Austin or other UT system schools that may be in a demographic where they're not as underserved as I think the El Paso region is, and I think that's why UTEP's food insecurity is so high.
How does that show up in a student's day to day life? Is it skipping meals or choosing cheap food instead of healthy options?
So I think that this mostly comes up in not eating. I think skipping meals is really a big problem in college. I do it myself. Sometimes I just don't eat because I have classes from 10 to 7 p.m. and I just don't eat from 10 to 7 p.m. and it's my mistake. I know that I should take like a snack or something to school, but sometimes it can just be hard. Skipping meals just comes because a lot of students don't just go to school, but they also work. And I have seen students who go to school and as soon as they get out of school, they go to work. So they're constantly skipping meals.
That's exactly what students said too. In my survey, nearly all respondents reported skipping meals, and about 95% said they buy cheaper, less healthy foods just to get by. Dominic, what kind of barriers do you think students face when they're trying to get access to nutritious meals?
Um, some of the barriers that students face when trying to get access to nutritious meals is finances. I think that food on campus is extremely expensive. I think right now the average wage in El Paso is like $11 an hour. So when you go to Chick-fil-A on campus and it's $20 to have a meal and a drink, you would rather just not eat anything. So, some students may think this is not really worth an hour of work, so I'm gonna skip my meal or eat something cheaper instead that's unhealthy. So I think it mostly comes from a financial stance.
Even with programs like the UTEP Food Pantry and Pizza Plate, some students still don't use them. Why do you think that is?
I think that what makes some students hesitant to use campus food resources like the food pantry or pizza plate is I think a sense of embarrassment. I think that there's like a negative connotation to what it means to go to the food pantry. A lot of the times when we think food pantry, we might think like people who have no home or people who are I don't know, immigrants. So maybe we think that going to the pantry makes us less of a student or like less of a person. So I think that being able to remove that stigma would be very critical to being able to advance or lower the percentage of food insecurity at UTEP.
It's worth noting that this isn't just about awareness, it's part of a much bigger picture. A 2022 study published by Frontiers in Public Health surveyed more than 7,600 UTEP students, and it found that food and housing insecurity were closely linked to transportation, employment, and family responsibilities. Students balancing jobs and supporting dependents were the most at risk. And beyond campus, a 2023 report from UTEP's Hunt Institute estimated that food insecurity had cost El Paso County more than 745 million in lost productivity and health impact that year, nearly 2% of the region's total personal income. When you connect those numbers, it becomes clear the challenges UTEP students face mirror the broader economic pressure affecting El Paso as a whole. And in my own survey, only about 57% of students said that they even knew about UTEP's food pantry or Pete's Plate before taking the survey. Why do you think awareness is still so low, even when the need is clearly there?
I think that awareness is so low because the university is just recently started pushing it a little bit more on social media. I think that food insecurity was not very well known a few years ago. I think it's fairly recent that we found out that this is a real issue that students are constantly facing. So I think it's just not that there's not enough on campus right now. I think it just hasn't been around for long enough.
How can we make the services feel more approachable? Maybe less intimidating or stigmatized?
Honestly, I think food insecurity will forever and always be stigmatized. As the president of Minors Against Hunger, I always tell people like food insecurity, the word insecurity comes with a negative connotation. So maybe rewording food insecurity to a different word that's not so negatively like doesn't sound so negative in our heads, I think would be very helpful. Maybe instead of saying you have food insecurity, maybe say something else like, how can we help you get resources to food? You know, instead of calling people food insecure, there should be a different word.
If you could design a new volunteering initiative to fight food insecurity, what would it look like?
I think it would look like cooking classes. As a resident assistant at Minor Canyon, I realized that a lot of students don't know how to cook, and because they don't know how to make themselves a meal, they often struggle to meal prep, or a lot of students are just transitioning from being at home to being in college, and their parents are not there anymore to help them cook. So I think that cooking classes would be a really helpful resource.
What's encouraging is that many students want to help. In my survey, nearly 70% say they would likely volunteer if you launch a new program. How could other student organizations of departments team up with Minors Against Hunger to make that happen?
Right now, we are just asking for donations. Donations are our biggest thing. We try to help the snack carts and fuel that, but people don't realize just how many people need food. So those snack cards run out so quickly, and we really need a lot of donations to keep those up and running. Also, a lot of students or a lot of staff do not really donate at the little like drop off zones around campus. Those are really empty most of the time. So just helping us with donations would be amazing.
And if you could implement one small change this semester to make a big difference, what would it be?
So Minors Against Hunger right now is looking for a lot more volunteers. With more manpower, we could definitely do more food drives, more snack drives, more toy drives that could not just benefit the community, but start benefiting our students a lot more. So I think that a small change that can make a big difference is a student joining Minors Against Hunger, because even though they might say, oh, like I'm only one person, I'm not going to make much of a difference, it's when the numbers start adding up that we start making a big change.
For students that wants to help, what is the best way for them to get involved?
Follow us on social media. Follow our Instagram handle at UTEP Ma, spelled MAH. Through the Instagram, you will be able to see updates on our Saturday volunteer events, our donation drives, and you could always feel free to become a member at any point during the semester. Just reach out to the president or the historian to accommodate your dues.
What gives you hope when it comes to addressing food insecurity at UTEP?
What gives me hope is that UTEP is a university that is very community oriented. As a student, as students, we help each other. We like seeing each other grow. And I think that power of community at UTEP is what gives me hope that we're going to be able to address food insecurity with everything we got.
What's one thing you wish every student knew about Minors Against Hunger?
I wish every student knew that we're a family. That when you join Minors Against Hunger, you're not just joining an organization or another something else to put on your resume. You're joining a family, a community of friends. The officer team that we have right now, we are so close. Like, we're all friends. A lot of the students who are members right now, we are all friends. We all talk to each other. We all follow each other on social media. We hang out just because we want to. I've taken my officer board out to Chili's several times just because we like to have fun together. So when you think about Minors Against Hunger, I would like students to think of a family, not just another student organization that they're going to put on their resume.
Before we wrap up, we like to end on a positive note. What's something that made you happy this week?
This week, I officially got my dental assistant certification, so that was very exciting. I worked really hard for that certification, so I'm very thrilled to say that Dominic Fierro, the president of Minors Against Hunger, is now officially a dental assistant. Thank you.
Dominic Fierro, student president of Minors Against Hunger. If you'd like to get involved or learn more about campus resources, please visit the UTEP Food Pantry website or follow Minors Against Hunger on Instagram. This episode of Rhetorical and Writing Students was produced by me, Leo Mercado, and supported by data from our 2025 UTEP Student Food Insecurity Survey. Thanks for listening, and remember, even small acts of kindness can create big change.